Welcome to Sharing Success from JSA. For over 50 years, we've helped agents and brokers compete and win at the highest level. Now we're taking it further, bringing you the strategies, insights, and conversations driving real growth in today's market. This is your blueprint for success. This is Sharing Success Together.
Hello, everyone. Thanks again for joining us. Chris Hagerstrom here with JSA, and welcome to our next episode of our Sharing Success podcast. Very excited to have with us today Rick Harman, our CEO. Rick, pleasure.
Awesome to be here.
Thanks for being here. This is Rick's second appearance on our podcast, so always good to have him. We're going to do a little bit of a kind of a Medicare State of the Union, talk a little bit about the industry, where things are going, what's been happening recently, and then where some of the opportunities lie today. So with that, I say we get right into it. So it feels like the Medicare landscape has been changing recently over the past couple of years. And we're seeing things like changes in commissions. We're seeing changes in renewals. We're seeing even some products that are leaving the market all over the place. What is your take on what the Medicare market looks like right now as CEO of JSA?
You know, it's a great question, great starting question. I look back in my career, and it started in 1987. Mm-hmm. And at that time, there were a lot of changes in Medicare, and then OBRA came out. And so what I'm getting to is there's always been change. I think today's change is probably has the potential to be a little bit more impactful to agents and consumers. Yep. But yeah, there's definite change.
Now, when it comes to some of the big shifts that are happening in the Medicare space, what should agents really be paying attention to as some of these changes happen?
You know, the first thing is, and I was brought up, like I said, I started in 1987. And at that time, I've been everything from an independent agent to a career agent, been a head of sales for an organization, head of marketing, new business development. So I've done multiple jobs. And I would say when you look at what the number one thing to me agents need to be more conscious about is actually looking at holistically the needs of a customer. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like today, especially in this space, the traditional broker in the space has focused on mostly one product, which they've done a phenomenal job with their customers, no doubt. But what they've missed is really helping that customer holistically, and understanding what their overall needs are, not just pigeonholing them into a specific Medicare Advantage or Medicare Supplement product.
Yeah, it seems like it's been pretty much one product driven for a long time. Honestly, the opportunity for that kind of a business model was there. I mean, since MA was released back in 2006, really 2006 is when it exploded. We've seen the growth of Medicare Advantage. It was kind of on this trajectory. So the ability to kind of tack on, hitch your wagon onto one product, the opportunity was there, but that's definitely changing.
It's changing. There's a lot of, there's margin compression at the carrier level. Mm-hmm. And with that margin compression, something has to give. And agents at some point will be affected, and we're seeing it today. I mean, if you would have asked me 5 years ago, would a carrier ever stop paying renewal commissions in a state or on a product, I would have said there's no way that would ever happen. And it did.
It did happen. It happened in the state of Washington.
Yes.
It affected thousands and thousands and thousands of policyholders. Absolutely. Now, we've heard that more carriers are pulling back commissions or even just changing how agents are paid for that business. How significant is that? When you think about it on a global standpoint, how significant is that change that carriers are making to those commissions?
I equate it to creating Groundhog Day for an agent, where they're not really growing their business as much as they're trying to retain what they have. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a SARS or whether it's carrier just stopping first year comp or any comp period, it definitely affects that agent and their income. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's real.
Yeah, and with those changes, I mean, it's the fact that renewal commissions could just disappear. That's kind of scary to begin with. Now, how do you think for an agency that is really focused specifically on the Medicare market, what's that going to do to that business long term?
You can't keep, like I said, you can't keep chasing the dollar on Medicare Advantage, meaning if you're using or trying to go place the same number of customers in a product, because that's where all your energy is, especially during AEP. You're spending all this time trying to help your customer, which is just a gallant effort, and I think it's awesome. But trying to do that long term and it make it sustainable, it's not realistic. So as attrition happens with that block, and as agents get more and more tired of this constant Groundhog Day or merry-go-round, something will give. And to me, the best thing an agent can do, and I'll keep going back to this on this whole podcast, is you have to be willing to look at your prospect or your customer and say, you know what, Mr. Hagerstrom, I'm here today to help you solve what's going on in both your on your health space, your life space, your financial space. Let's talk about what's going on with you personally.
Yeah.
Because you know what? You look amazing on the outside. I have no idea what's going on the inside, but I'm sure there's some stuff, and we got to figure out how we can make sure you're protected.
Yeah, we've been saying, I know at JSA we've been saying this for over 20 years. Clients have more than one insurable need. It's Medicare, obviously, yeah. In my opinion, that's the foot in the door.
Yep.
That's the first thing you do. You take care of the Medicare business. But after that, it just opens up plenty of opportunity. And we'll talk a lot about the opportunities that exist today, because there's a huge opportunity right now in the Medicare space, and I think now is the time to do it. But you kind of alluded to this previously. What are the pressures in the market, so that our audience can understand? What are the pressures in the market for these Medicare carriers to force them to make the changes that they're making when it comes to commissions and plan availability? What are those pressures?
Well, you look at it this year. At first, CMS came out. What was it going to be, a 0.09% increase? I think they settled at 2.4.
Yep,
2.4. And with the rising cost of just whether it's any kind of medical inflation. So with the rising cost of medical inflation, it's become very hard. And when you have that compression of not having the dollars now to pay for that care, what you're seeing is carriers skinnying down their products, reducing some of the benefits, which again creates opportunity, but they're taking away some of those luxurious benefits. I mean, you think back just a few years ago, people were able to buy things like golf clubs.
Yeah.
They're able to, the money was free flowing. Everybody's having a great time.
Yep.
And then boom, reality hit.
Yep.
And we're all feeling it. That pressure, margin compression at the carrier level is real. And I can tell you, speaking to one carrier in particular, I won't mention their name, what they've said is agent comp has gone up disproportionately to what the overall carriers are receiving in dollars to help take care of a Medicare recipient. They've actually said that. And when you hear a carrier saying something like that, to me, that's code for we need to change. We need to do something about commissions.
Yep.
And right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm not a fan of it, but right, wrong, or indifferent, if you are, it's going to impact what happens in our industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the medical inflation's been through the roof. Utilization too is higher than it's been in more than a decade, especially post-COVID. Post-COVID, it seemed like that came like a tidal wave into the whole industry and made a lot of those changes. And it is putting a lot of pressure on the carriers. And really, carriers, once a product hits the market, carriers really don't have a lot of opportunity to control the growth in that product. So commissions is kind of the only way that they can do that.
Yeah, which tells you, what did it mean to me? What that tells me is agents still control the amount of business a carrier gets.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
So agents are needed. And if you think you're not going to be needed in the future, I definitely question that, because I do believe there is a place for agents, and there will always be a place for agents. They just have to make sure they look at what door is open at the time. Again, I can tell you, and this goes back over 20 years, where a CMO at an organization that I was affiliated with told me within 5 years there will not be a need for agents to sell Medicare. 20 years ago, someone told me that.
Yep.
And obviously that didn't happen.
No, not at all.
So when you have the naysayers about what's happening, it's not Chicken Little, it's are you taking, it's changing, and are you going to take advantage of the opportunity that's in front of you?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And you've talked on our last podcast, you talked about this. For an agent or an agency, it's important not to have all your eggs in one basket. So why, and we talked a little bit about this yesterday in our town hall. We've been talking about it over the past couple months. I know it was a big topic at Medicarians. Why is diversification becoming such an important conversation for agents today?
Since I got here and at JSA, it's only been a little over 3 years, and it's been a tremendous opportunity for me working with people like yourselves, working with a lot of other folks in the organization. And when you look at that sort of opportunity and what I preached when I got there was diversification, because based on my past experience, I saw what we needed to do. It doesn't mean agents see it today. Some have, some don't. But the reason it's needed is because of that shift. And so your choice is going to be, I can stay in the Medicare space exclusively. Will I run the risk of making less money by putting in not the same effort, but more effort? Yes. You will run the risk of making less money for putting in more effort. And the best way, and I've learned this a long time ago when you talk about diversification, that the number one thing you can do is by having multiple products in a household. One, you're helping the customer holistically. That's number one.
Yes.
You're doing the right thing for a customer. But two, you're increasing your agent retention. I mean, you think about it today, if you're an agent and you feel that Medicare Advantage is somewhat of a commodity, and you're questioning whether you're going to make it in the future, that should be a sign to you that you need to change. You got to change. And the best way to do that, by having multiple policies in a household, it increases, whether you call it your retention, your stick rate, it becomes a hockey stick. That if you have 3 pieces of business in a household, you have over a 90% chance to retain that customer, regardless.
Yeah.
So even if it is a commodity, it doesn't matter. They're going to stay with you.
Yeah, it's Medicare. It's Medicare. Once, like I said before, it's part of the picture. It's not the entire picture.
Correct.
So having those multiple products in a home, and that's why you see things like all these telecommunications companies. Well, we want to have your internet, your TV, and your cell phone through us. It's the same thing with P&C agencies and P&C companies. Want to have your home, life, and auto. Like, we want everything through us. It does help with that stick rate. Now, when it comes to diversification, what do you think that looks like for independent agents to diversify their portfolio? What does that kind of package look like in your mind?
To me, step one is actually creating or using some type of fact finder. And, we can help you with that at JSA. Yeah. Starting there, and like I had sort of role played with you a little bit ago, you may look great on the outside, but I need to know what's going on the inside. That inside means everything about what's going on with you personally. And you have to be willing to ask questions. And some of them are uncomfortable. I can tell you where I was. For a long time, it was very difficult for agents to even ask about things like money. Can you talk to me about, where is your money? Talk to me about, you got people typically have 3 buckets. They got money for now, they got money for later, and they got money for never. Let's talk about those buckets. And just learning more holistically about a person. And once you start doing it, and that's the key, getting over the hump of doing it as a routine, you become more comfortable with it. You are a professional. You should feel comfortable about asking somebody what's going on in their life, because that's going to help them. It's going to help you solve their challenges or problems that they may face.
So there's multiple different options when it comes to products that are out there.
Yes.
You've got all the things on the health side, the hospital indemnity, cancer, critical illness, dental, things like that. There's also life insurance. There's also annuities. Do you recommend an agent, if they're just getting into this or just getting into this idea, do you feel like they should do everything at once, or how should they approach it?
It depends on your bandwidth. I think as an agent, if you're familiar with doing some of this stuff, I think you're more apt to being able to do everything holistically. But when I look at even Medicare Advantage, and you look at the gaps today that are with those products, like we said, we talked about them being skinny down a little bit more and more. And so that creates those holes. If you're not offering a solution to fill those gaps with a hospital indemnity plan, table stakes on a Medicare Advantage, shame on you. You should be offering it at the point of sale. It's funny because I talked to a lot of agents, and some of them are like, there's different camps. You know what? I just don't have time for that. I just want to get this Medicare Advantage in place, and I'm going to do it in March and April and May. I'm like, no, you don't do it then.
No,
you do it right when it's the need is there, because by postponing it, you've already established that it's not really that big of need, or there's not an urgency. You need to do it then. And if that means you have a few less customers, but now you're protecting them more in their entirety, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, and earning more revenue at the same time for yourself.
You're gonna earn more revenue, and the revenue is gonna stay, and you're not gonna be playing again this merry-go-round of chasing your customers every year. That's tough.
Yeah, and I think you have to do hospital indemnity at point of sale, and because when you are required per CMS regulations, you're required to go through the summary of benefits. You have to show the client what gaps exist in that Medicare Advantage plan. You're already discovering the need for the hospital indemnity as you educate your clients about their plan. It's just a natural progression. Well, here's the out-of-pocket that you have. Here's the solution to take care of that. Trying to do that after the fact, you can't create the same value of the hospital indemnity plan as you would at the point of the sale, trying to bring it up later on. It almost cheapens the value of that coverage, and it makes it seem like you're just trying to sell something for money. Yeah,
totally
it's not. It doesn't put a good image of you on your client. It doesn't put a good image of the hospital indemnity protection in your client's mind, and it's going to make things very difficult. So I agree with you wholeheartedly. If you're going to do it, you have to do it at the point of sale. And that's where you're going to find the most value. That's where you're going to find the most opportunity. And that's where you're going to get a lot of people that are going to be just purely satisfied with the coverage and the option that you choose. There's a lot of products that are out there. We could sit here and talk about all the different things at once, but we talked about this in our last podcast when you and I were together. Annuity seems to be coming up more and more these days. I heard a lot about it even at Medicarians, which is a Medicare conference, and hearing about annuities. So where do you think annuities fit into this conversation of diversification for agents?
Like I said, I think, some customers have financial advisors. There's a lot of people in middle America, which tends to be more our market, where they don't have that help. And again, providing them a product that's going to help them long term. And again, you go through the different buckets, and there is at JSA. We have some great training programs to help you sort of establish not only the need, but providing solutions, annuity solutions for your customers. And personally, I look at it and say, if you have, if you're a brand new agent trying to get into the annuity space, and everybody's different. For me, annuities were easy because I just looked at it. I'm transferring money from one vehicle to another vehicle. I didn't really feel like I was taking their money. I was just moving it from one vehicle to another. And, most seniors today still have some money in CDs that I call in that money for never bucket. They have that money in those CDs, and a MIGA plan, which is basically a CD, except it gives you the tax deferral, which is a big benefit, and it gives you additional protection. That, to me, is a very simple product to convey to a customer, and a very simple sale to start. When you get into some of the index products, if you become an advisor and you get into more variable products, I think that, to me, is what experts get involved with. But the basic ones, where you're moving money from a savings or a checking or a CD, where it's money that's coming out of that bucket that they're really never going to use, or just want to use it for a rainy day. It's very simple for me to move that money into that kind of bucket.
Yeah, absolutely. And the protection there, they're all guaranteed. So MIGA is the multi-year guarantee annuity. You get the guaranteed protection and the guaranteed interest rate right off the bat. Looking at the investment space, anything that's managed money with, the stock market, essentially a yo-yo these days. It's hard to say exactly what those are going to do for a client long term, but that annuity conversation isn't more of, where do you have your money and how can I move it? It's where do you have your money? What's the purpose of this money? And how do we guarantee that it does what you want it to do in the future? And I think that's a big part of that annuity conversation. But a lot of agents feel intimidated about getting into that space. So what would you say to the people that are hesitant? What would you say to encourage them to look at it a little bit more?
I think understanding sort of the why it's beneficial for an agent and your customer. If you can really connect some of the why, and then the how, which again, JSA, we're big proponents at providing. That's what we do. We provide opportunities to help people grow their business. People say, well, you're an FMO. I get, yeah, okay, we're an FMO, but you know what? That's not what we focus on. We focus on helping agents grow their business. That's what we do. Our theme of sharing success together.
Yep. Very
different concept than, what? We have the highest comp, or, we got these products, or we have the lowest rates. It's not, everybody can do that.
Yeah.
Anybody can do that.
Yes.
And what we try to do is help you understand how and why. And then that transition will be much smoother. We'll help handhold you through that process. If you have a prospect that you think could qualify for one of these products, talk to us. We're there.
Yeah. Yeah, we have the support, we have the tools, and we have the resources to help you out with that. Especially when it comes to annuities, because it can be kind of scary. And over the years, you may have read some books or seen some certain podcasts or things, or even seen advertisements online from like Fisher Investments where annuities are terrible. And those organizations are doing that for a reason. They're trying to get more money under management for their firm. They're trying to do what they need to do. But they're not scary products. I remember back in 2007, we were working with a company who's gone now. They were purchased by another one called Aviva, talking about indexed annuities. And at that point in time, Medicare Advantage was kind of in its infancy. And a lot of agents sold those indexed annuities back then. And I think it was because the Medicare market was still growing. There was still, the big surge in Medicare Advantage hasn't happened yet. Medicare Part D was still growing. So it was easy to add another product line to a portfolio at that time because the agents had the bandwidth. Well, now that we've been talking about, there's kind of a bandwidth compression in the Medicare space where a lot of these products we're worried about the commissionability of them, worried if they're going to be around next year. AEP becomes a rat race for 57 days. It's hard to build in those additional revenue streams when the Medicare market seems so clustered. And there's a big opportunity with annuities, but you have to give yourself time to take care of that. You can't just, take a look at the different products or the different opportunities and be like, that would be nice, and not take that first step. You got to take that first step. And I think working with us at JSA, utilizing the resources, utilizing the guidance that we provide, we're able to get you guys on the right path. So if you have, like Rick said, a potential customer that you want to work with or you think would be a great prospect for annuities, give us a call. And we'll tell you how to start. We'll tell you how to do a little bit deeper of a fact find on their financial side. We'll tell you the conversation and the questions to ask. We'll work with our resources to find a product that's going to fit them and teach you how to best explain that to your client. Because I think annuities could be a huge opportunity for all of our agents that are out there. And it does seem scary, but you just have to take that first step.
Totally agree. And I can, again, look back at some of my history with the product specifically. And I can tell you, I was with an organization that it primarily was a Medicare organization, Medicare, then it got into final expense, then long-term care, and then annuities were sort of the last frontier for them. And once agents start selling annuities, what you'll find is it's when I say it's like a drug, it's one of those products that people, they have a hard time then going back to some of the other products that they used to sell, because it can be that rewarding for them, both as a professional and helping your customer, but also financially as an agent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And that's all part of diversification. It's all about getting those additional products underneath your belt. And there's so many different products that are out there. There's so many opportunities. We went through the list before. You don't have to do every single one of them, but we encourage you to try at least one, try maybe two, start that conversation and see how things goes. And the natural progression is you're going to find what works for you. You're going to find a product that you're comfortable with. You're going to find The conversations get easier over time. You're going to find that you understand them like you understand the Medicare products that you guys are experts in year over year, and it just makes things easier as you move along.
Yes.
And the whole idea is to help support the business and to make sure that you're stable and that your clients are stable, and once again, sharing success together. So we as JSA, we're an FMO. So what is our role as we talk about diversification? We alluded to a couple things, but what's our role to help agents really diversify successfully?
I would say number one, we're there to, it was funny. When I started, it was, hey, what's JSA's value prop? And it was, well, we pick up the phone. We pick up the phone and we're there to help you. But as you peel the onion back a little bit more and you see all the different training that we provide, both from a product training and a sales training, helping agents take that initial step. Can it be scary? Yeah, it can be scary. But I think to me, that's natural. And until you actually make that initial step to sell a product, and we will handhold you through every step of the way until you actually do it and you get one under your belt or two under your belt, it creates a habit. And, that's to me, everything in life are habits. You have good habits and you have bad habits, right? And to get those good habits about helping your customer holistically is, to me, table stakes in our industry.
Yeah.
If you're not doing it, someone else will. We talk about Medicare. If Medicare changed so dramatically, and I don't believe this, but so dramatically, there's never a need for an agent. What are you going to do? Are you just going to fold up your tent and move on to something else? Or are you going to say, you know what? That's fine. There's so many other doors that are open. There's so many other needs that a person needs. And, we talk a lot about AI. AI is not going to do it. People want interactions with people. AI is a great tool. AI helps, I think, us become more effective at the things we do.
Yep.
But it is not a complete replacement to what a person can do in our business.
Yeah, it's a huge tool, and that was a big theme at this year's Medicarians conference. Was because I remember when AI was first coming in, and there was a lot of talk in the marketplace that essentially Chicken Little, the sky is falling, that AI is going to replace us as agents, and that became clear that was not even close to being true at Medicarians. Think about all the things that we listened to, all the talks and all the conversations we had. It's a tool for us. It is to help us become more efficient. It's to take some of those things that you're doing on a daily basis, maybe some of the bookkeeping work, maybe some of the administrative stuff on the back end. That's taking that off your plate entirely and giving you more time to do what Rick just said, is to actually have that relationship with your clients and actually do the education and the sales of these products. And that's why we're never going to be replaced.
No,
we're never going to be replaced. I remember when Medicare Advantage and Part D came out, and everyone's like, well, these people can enroll on Medicare.gov. There's going to be no room for agents. That was 20 years ago that conversation was happening, and here we are today. When we look at our agents, we work with thousands of agents across the country. When we look at our agents and agencies, what are the agents who are thriving right now doing differently?
Well, it's sort of the theme of the day. I think to me, they're planning for, they've learned diversification. I mean, I look at even some of the bigger agencies that we work with, they may have had, at the time, they could have been called a long-term care agency. They could have been a Medicare specialist. They could have been, a life specialist. And I think the ones that are the most successful are the ones that are adaptable to change. And everybody's been saying this. Since to me, the buzzword of change isn't, it's not about whether change is going to happen. It's about the speed of change and how fast it's going to affect us. And the acceleration of change, it just continues. And I think that's true. But every time there's change, it creates opportunity. And, if you're Chicken Little, if you're fearful, that's going to be probably, you're either going to put your head in the sand and say, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, and I'm going to just ride it out because it's going to go back to the way it was. Shame on you. Or, you know what? I'm aware of it. I'm still nervous about it. I don't know how to go about it. Call us. Or you know what, I'm there. I've already seen it. I know agents and I know agencies. They've got into multiple different lines of business. They have different specialist areas within their organization to help agents. That's similar to what JSA does. We want to make sure we provide you not only information, but information that's going to help you, because you can glean information from the web every day of the week. It goes beyond that. It goes beyond, it's about talking to somebody through a situation and how we can help them. And the more, to me, that we can do that and the more value we provide with helping our agents, the better and stronger we're going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. We're almost a mentor in that right?
Yeah.
Where we mentor agents and mentor their business on how to do it. So if we have a new agent that's coming into the space, that's looking to get into Medicare, and really wants to take advantage of the opportunity as exists today, how would you recommend that they actually structure their business for someone that's brand new that just wants to get into it for the first time?
Obviously, from my standpoint, it's good to be mentored. When you talk about mentorship, it's good to be mentored by somebody to learn, about the different opportunities and products that are there. I'll go back to the core sort of thing agents need to do for success, to set them up for success, is to have some kind of fact finder. And I'm not talking, people use this little card and it's an emergency response card. Yeah, those are okay. I guess that's the start of something. It's better than nothing. But I'm talking about a simple fact finder that goes through the different needs and different areas that a person has. And again, talk to them about what's going on holistically with them. And by just talking to somebody and understanding sort of what's happening in their life, you'll be able to pivot to what is an immediate need. Like you said, Medicare, everybody's needs something.
Yeah.
And so that's the door opener, or that's sort of an opportunity just to start a conversation, but to get and develop a more meaningful, in-depth conversation about somebody and their life, that to me will open up so many doors for that agent to help a person that has holes either in their coverage or in their future. I mean, the biggest fear people have is outliving their assets.
Yes.
Well, outliving your assets goes to a lot of different things. It goes to your health. Are you spending too much on your health care? Long-term care, are you protected? It goes to, are you trying to protect yourself with a lifetime income, maybe with some kind of annuity? So there's all different avenues you can pivot. The best thing to do is just to start simple and expand. Don't be overwhelmed. We have, 165 different products, I think. So JSA offers 165 products. In one breath, that's awesome, right? It's awesome. Another breath, it's nonsense. People have to, and the best agents, what they learn to do is they pick 3. They don't go and bring in a spreadsheet of 15 different companies and 15 different products. Let's say it's an annuity with 15 different options, and just confuse the heck out of a person. Then what they do is they make it simple. You have to make it simple for your customer to understand. And the best way to do that is to limit their options. Because if you're chasing a product, meaning there's always a shiny coin, and everybody wants a shiny coin. And, sometimes JSA wants a shiny coin too to help our agents. But when you really want to come down to helping somebody, limiting their options, and picking 3 different carriers will make your life so much easier. Because some of these products, you are not in a competitive situation.
No, and even like having the list of products in front of you, even looking at a comparison of the different products that all the hospital indemnity plans side by side, they don't match up. So it gets very difficult for you as an agent to even handle that. So if you can't figure that out, your client's going to have a heck of a time doing it.
Yeah, and I remember when I started out as an agent, and so this is a lesson learned, and I was an independent agent, and I did that. I had, I felt like it was so important for me to have all the different carriers, the most competitive product. But what you learned is you start chasing that. and every day another carrier came out with a different product with a little bit different benefits. You didn't know if they were going to pay a claim. They had no history in the market. You had no idea whether what you were telling them was going to happen was actually going to produce the result that you want. And you learn real quick you can't do that. You can't keep chasing products. You have to be able to limit those options. And for me, the first thing I say is I want to make sure I have one company that's been around for a long time, been in the market for a long time, has a good history in a specific product. If it's hospital indemnity, one of the pioneers, Guarantee Trust.
Yep.
Not to plug the company. They've been around for a long time.
GTL's been around for a
long time. They have the product. So you pick them, then you pick two others that you feel maybe have a little bit of a different flair or some other benefits that you might like or features you might like. And you run with them. But you go with three. And then in your heart of hearts, you have to say, am I confident that if a claim comes, is this going to get paid? Because that's what you really want. And, we all don't drive around in Yugos. So we don't always look for the cheapest car. We pick the car based on what our needs are and what we want in that. Some people want a Mercedes because they want the best service. They want to be able to have someone come and pick their car up and, not to do anything or to get a loaner, brand new loaner and have an unbelievable customer service experience. Some people want the Yugo and there's nothing wrong with it. But I think for an agent, you need to have a couple different options when you offer products, and that's what I would highly recommend you do.
Yeah, you don't have, like the Medicare space, specifically on the MedSup side, Medicare Advantage too, as they are essentially becoming commodities in their own sense. And it's Medicare supplements, you're chasing a premium, especially in the birthday rule states where you could switch them every year, you're chasing the lowest premium. Medicare Advantage plans, you're looking for the zero premium with the most benefits that covers your drugs. And that could change from year to year to year. The nice thing with the supplemental health products, your long-term cares, your annuities, your things like that. I heard someone say this, and I wish I could give them credit for this. The best product, so when we're talking about those additional products, the best product for your client is the one they trust. And that's really what it comes down to, is you're not really chasing rates in a lot of situations. You're not really chasing benefits or things like that, because you can build these around whatever your client needs. Is you're putting a solution together that your client understands and they truly trust. And that makes it a lot easier. If you're nervous about doing something like this, that should make it easier for you, because you don't have to have every product under the sun. And you don't have to sign every new contract and get every new widget that has every new bell and whistle out there. You need to focus on knowing the products that you work with and how to best explain those to your clients and best teach them about the solutions that are out there, because the best ancillary product is the one your clients trust, and those are the ones that they're going to take and keep for the longest time.
No, great point, and that's so true, because I would say when you look at the sales cycle, and there's a 5-step sales process, a 7-step sales process. To me, the key components of the sales process is when you talk about trust. The first thing you need to do is build trust with that customer when you're really selling something. If you're just trying to move a commodity, it's probably not as big a need. When you're actually trying to help somebody, selling yourself and helping them understand who you are is number one. Number two, it is the company and sort of the companies that you're recommending and why you're recommending them and the differences between them, the size of them, the rating, the history is number two. Number three is product. So customers, if you build trust with your customer and you sell yourself first, and if you secondly sell the different carriers that you're wanting to offer them, the product just comes naturally, and it's not as big of a hurdle to sell something because if they trust you, they're going to go with you.
Yeah, and trust is a huge part of the Medicare business, and because it's such a monumental decision that everybody has to make. You approach 65 or you retire after 65, you have to make a decision when it comes to Medicare. And if you're fortunate enough to be the agent that helps the client understand their Medicare benefits, shows them the different products that are available, that inherently builds you trust and credibility right from the get-go, because you're the one who took time to help them make that decision. So when it comes to moving into these other programs or adding these other programs as part of that total solution, it becomes much easier to build that trust. Now, when we look at the Medicare space and we look at going into the future, do you think that, with the things that have been happening recently, the service area reductions, the commission, do you think that's going to continue into the future? What is your crystal ball telling you?
Yeah, my crystal ball tells me that there's going to be continual turmoil. I think something's going to have to give. Carriers are feeling it. If the carriers are feeling it, the agents are going to feel it. If the carriers are feeling it, the customers are going to feel it. Mm-hmm. So it's a domino effect either way, and I don't feel that disruption. Some people are like, well, I think it's going to be all okay. When I started, and it had started about three years ago. Mm-hmm. Someone said, well, this is just going to be a 1-year blip, and everything's going to be back to normal. Mm-hmm. Didn't happen. No. Second year, same thing. Third year now, we're into the third year. And it doesn't look like there's any, because there's sort of a window of opportunity for things to die down a little bit. Now what you're seeing is a lot of carriers are specifically trying to go after certain markets. Mm-hmm. And they're saying, you know what, I feel we can make money in, hypothetically, this urban market, because that's where we have the networks, that's where we know, sort of what the expenses are, blah, blah, blah. We can make money in the urban. We don't want the rural market.
No.
And what you have is then everybody's feeling that same way. Mm-hmm. And that just creates more tension, more confusion, more challenges and margin compression because carriers want certain amounts of business. So I don't feel it's going to change for the foreseeable future.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that we're going to see more impacts on commissions? And specifically, because we saw one carrier do this, won't mention names. We saw one carrier do this where they're no longer paying the full first-year commission depending on when the business is written. Do you see any more changes like that from a commission standpoint? Because carriers can pay the highest commission, which is that full fair market value. Do you see carriers continuing to pay that full fair market value, or do you see them try and find some place in the middle that they can work with?
I feel you're going to see carriers, and I this is my Rick's crystal ball. I do feel, based on the feedback I and the interactions I've had with carriers, is they will look for opportunities to try to decrease comp. Like I had said earlier, you see a lot of they feel, some of the carriers feel that agent comp has gone up, but disproportionately to the dollars that they're getting in. So mm-hmm. There has to be some type of give there that's going to happen, and I think commissions are going to be, for the foreseeable future, we're going to experience those changes. And once one does it, it then gives everybody else the green light to try it. Mm-hmm. And, it's like anything. You cross that boundary, and once that happens, it can happen again.
Yeah. Further proof that we need to stay nimble, especially in the Medicare space. Looking into the future, what can, our viewers take away from this right away what do you think the biggest opportunity is right now for an agent?
We started this and we'll end on it. I really believe, one, embrace the opportunity that's in front of you with your customers. Help them. They want your help. You've built trust with a product, with a Medicare product or a Medicare Advantage product. You've built that level of trust with them already. Do what's right. Offer them the products that are available, that you have available to you, that you can help that customer holistically. And start with understanding what's going on with your customer. Don't be transactional. If all you do are transactions, eventually you will be replaced. It's happened any type of industry. It's happened. You want to make sure the value you provide goes beyond just providing a transaction. And that opportunity is there. It's in front of you. Grab it. Have some fun. Mm-hmm. Our market, our opportunity is just tremendous. Every day I wake up, I really do. I wake up and I look at the opportunities that are in front of us, and we haven't even scratched the surface. Mm-mm. JSA has not done a good job helping agents understand the need of their customer. JSA needs to do a better job. We have the tools. We need to do a better job of educating our agents on the tools that they have available to them to help really meet the needs of their customers, because we have them. We have everything.
We do.
We just have to make sure they understand the urgency that's there, and keep your head in the sand. Don't believe it's going to go back to the way it was. You can look historically at anything, and does anything ever go back to the way it was? It doesn't.
No.
Right? Embrace change, and have some fun. Get back to helping a customer. And what you'll find is you may reduce the total amount of people you work with for a short period of time, or for maybe forever.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
Yeah.
Because now you're meeting all their needs, and you're building an income stream that's going to be there for your lifetime. Because the last thing I'll say about Medicare Advantage commissions, as you saw in that state, in that example, they can be taken away. When you sell these other products, they're contractually obligated to pay you those commissions on those sales. They could change future commissions, but they're obligated to pay you those commissions on those sales. That's why, if anything else, you should be diversifying into other products.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. I think the big takeaway that I'm hearing is that change isn't something to fear. We have agents that diversify now. We need agents that diversify more into the future to protect their clients better and to protect their business better and really get them in the strongest position moving forward. So, any final thoughts?
I think I said it pretty much. How passionate I am about this. Again, I feel, if you want to look at what the opportunity is in front of you, pick up the phone and give us a call. We're there to help. We're there to help you with understanding the different opportunities, whether it is hospital indemnity, whether it is cancer, whether it's life, whether it's annuities, long-term care, any of those immediate needs you may want to get into. We're there for you. Don't overcomplicate things. Just don't make it so complicated for yourselves that you don't understand how to pivot, or not pivot, but so you don't understand how to offer a product that is an immediate need. Because you can do a lot of, I call it cherry picking. You can do a lot of cherry picking with an individual's needs right off the surface that are there, that are going to help you financially, help you with your customer, and take the lead.
Yeah, take the lead. Take advantage of the opportunity we have. Well, Rick, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for watching our episode of our Sharing Success podcast. We hope you guys take this to heart. Take a look at your business. Take a look at ways that you can go ahead and diversify what you're offering. And like Rick said, give us a call here at JSA and let us help you do just that. Thanks.